Hi everyone, this is Yenny from Art for Fun. We are doing our first 2024 virtual painting party. If you haven't subscribed to our YouTube channel, there's the link on the dashboard of this event. Subscribe and follow us. We are uploading free content. Not constantly, but we are trying to do that. Follow us and take advantage of those free videos to learn how to paint with us. Again, my name is Yenny and I'm one of the instructors for Art for Fun. And this is Eve, because he came to say hi. But he gets camera shy. He just wanted to give me a kiss. All right. So I know there's a few of you guys are ready with your materials. I hope you pre-sketched your canvas with the lantern and the branches. If you do not have the branches, if you want to start doing that, start sketching the branches real quick. I did upload a sample of what the top looks like and the bottom of the lantern looks like. If you want to follow, your branches do not need to look exactly like mine. I always suggest for you to put your own little touch to your paintings, just so you can have your own perspective of it. Again, also follow us on Instagram, artforfun80_. I also added the Instagram, I believe on one of the dashboards of the event. And well, let's get started. Colors that we're gonna need today are a lot of colors today. I went a little crazy. So we are gonna need two types of blues, a black, brown, yellow, white, orange. Now, I don't know why I put green, but we'll use green somewhere. If you do not have orange, if you mix yellow and red together, you will create orange. So don't worry so much if you don't have the color orange. This is an orange that I create myself by mixing red and yellow. And brown as well. If you don't have brown, we can create brown. Just put in the chat if you do not have brown, and I'll tell you how to. So there's my palette. We are going to need the 3 brushes. This is to do our background, and these 2 are going to be to do our details. We need a small square and a round brush. This round brush comes in different sizes. This is a little large, but it does come a little thinner. It's your choice. How thin you want to go or how thick. Here's an example of a thinner one. Make sure you have your cup of water, your napkins. All right. Well, we're gonna get started. We're going to use the biggest brush that you have. And don't worry so much if you don't. Just use the largest brush that you have to create the background. All right, guys. So we're gonna start with the background first. The first color, make sure you wet your brushes. Try not to wet them more than once. Do it once. And if at one point your brush gets dry, just dip it again and make sure you clean it up and you dab it on your napkin, because you don't want running paint on your canvas. So all you do is this to kind of get rid of the extra water or liquid paint. All right, guys, so I'm gonna start with blue, okay? Just try to follow along. I know you guys have a picture of what the painting looks like, but let's just try to follow along, you know, and along the way, just don't try to go too forward, just so you could experience the entire painting with us. All right, so we're gonna start in the corner. So let's do corners, like so. We're gonna do the bottom as well. I like to paint like rubbing my brush onto the canvas just because it gives it a nice texture look. So let's do corners. And for this painting, we're not gonna do a perfect blue. We're gonna leave some white spots. Try your best not to, and then kind of move it to the center a little. And yes, we could go over the branches because they are going to be brown. And then come around the sides maybe. I don't know if you're noticing, I am not adding more paint to my brush. I am just using what I had at the beginning, and I'm just cleaning my brush onto the canvas. So I don't go too thick. We don't want thick paint for our background. We always want to go light. All right, I could grab some more. And you know what? You could always, if you grab a lot of paint on your brush, you could always wipe it on your plate like this. But try not to go into the lantern. So we could go over the branches, but not in our lantern. Maybe these parts we can because they're black, but not over here in this part. And not in the center though, because that's our light, right? This is gonna be yellow and orange. Right. Babe.
What?
Is it going?
It's fine.
Nothing. All right, guys.
Oh,
so
cool.
we're painting.
Uh-huh.
We're painting. So I think just gonna add a little more over here. I think I'm gonna leave that up there the way it is. I really don't want it too dark.
Yeah, it shows like it's going.
Then we're gonna, I always paint around my canvas.
That's fine. It says this video ended, babe.
I always paint around my canvas, and I'm doing the top. It doesn't have to be perfect, but this gives you a finished look.
No, you're still there.
And then we're over here, then we do the sides. And I'll go maybe like a 3/4 down, because we're gonna add the teal. Then we go on the other side. I don't know if you're paying attention. I am very soft applying the paint. When we go soft, we allow the paint to not be too thick on our canvas. And we want a soft look. We don't want a thick look. The main focus on this painting is the lantern and the branches. So we're gonna focus most of it on that. So there's all my blue. This is what I have. I like what I created. Remember, towards the center is gonna be more yellow, so try to leave some white space behind the lantern, because that's like the light reflecting. Okay. I am gonna wash my brush a little because the blue is too dark, and we want the teal to be more pure onto our canvas. So see, there you go. We shake it a little. And we clean it. Don't forget to say hello on the chat room so we can know you're watching us. And if you just join us, welcome. Remember that this is the beginning of the year, but we are going to have a virtual painting party once a month. All right, so now, if your brush is clean, let's get some teal. Teal is also created with blue and green. Now I remember why I put green, because I wanted to show you. All right, so I'm gonna show you real quick how to make the teal, just in case you don't get your hands on the color teal. So by blending green and blue, see, and then you add a little white to it. And then you could add, see how now it kind of looks similar? You gotta add some green to it, and I'll get a little more green. Oh, that's scary. It all matches. So that's how you create teal. Blue and green, then you add some white, and you get it as light as you want. Then we can use it since I mixed it. All right. So your teal is gonna be on these areas. Remember those white areas I asked you to leave? It was to apply our teal. Here, and maybe try this technique, you know, rubbing the brush onto your canvas. And if you notice that you can't see the difference in between the blue and the teal, just add more white to it. Maybe we need a little lighter. I think I went too lighter. Remember, we're sticking to the side of our canvas. The center needs to stay white, and that's gonna be for our yellow. Maybe we could come up to this much right here. Remember, our lantern is black, so you don't have to be worried too much about that. Let's get some teal here. And after we apply the teal and we notice that there's not much difference in between the two colors, we can add more blue. And try to rub it kind of like a, you know how the sun, if you paint the sun rays or draw the sun rays, they look like lines. So let's start painting in that direction when we're coming close to the lantern. Let's do that to kind of mimic the light shining into the background, into our sky. Only on that side, on your left side of your canvas. Some teal down here. Try to not spend too much on the background. I always say this, the background is just a filler. It's not the main focus of the painting. You could always go back and add more to your background if you want to. Come up a little bit here. Over here on the right side of the canvas, we are just rubbing our paint. Right. Let's put it down. Remember, leave some white around this part of the lantern so we can add some yellow. All right. Remember, we left the spot. This is where I'm gonna add some of that teal all the way to that blue. Don't worry so much about the bottom. We could do it towards the end. All right, so I'm noticing on my painting, the teal kind of took over the blue a bit. So I'm not cleaning my brush. I'm using it dirty. I'm just gonna grab some blue and kind of go over what I had before, just slightly. So I want some of the darkness on those corners. You know, kind of like dark to light effect. Maybe on the outer edges. So if you add it on the outer edges, you want to brush in, just like I'm doing it, so they won't blend together. This way it just sits very subtle over the teal. And then I'm gonna add more on this corner. And I think I like that. What do you guys think? If you want to add more to yours, but I remember, let's keep it very subtle. Right. So this is my background, guys. See how you can see the dark blue, you can see the teal in the center. All right. So I know blue and teal is very, they're very dark colors. So let's use the smaller brush. If you have a second brush, whatever size it is, let's use it for the center part so we could do the yellow. So you could just put this brush in water. All right. So remember, the yellow is behind the lantern. The lantern's lit up, so it's creating a shadow behind it. but shadows are usually black. In this case, it's gonna be yellow. So if I start in the center, just kind of imagine you're starting in the center, because there's no point of filling this out, because it's gonna be black and then oranges and yellows. So we kind of, remember, we brush into the teal from the lantern. See how I'm doing it from the lantern out?
Yeah.
And I'm giving them that glow effect by just brushing into the teal, but I'm not blending the teal. I'm just brushing and I'm leaving kind of like thick paint. Remember, we could go over our branches. If you mix this part, you're gonna get a green, because any type of blue, it comes in contact with yellow, it will create a green. Even if we go over it, we can't avoid that. That's just the law of colors. When yellow comes in contact with any shade of blue, it's gonna create green, some type of green. So see how every time I'm applying a yellow stroke, I'm adding paint to my brush. You wanna do that. And avoid rubbing. This is the only time that you don't wanna rub the paint. You just stroking the paint from the lantern out. See how I'm touching? I am touching the black line of your lantern and I'm brushing out. Maybe up to there. You don't wanna go higher. I'm always brushing out. I'm brushing into that teal. And I'm gonna go lower all the way to the bottom. Remember, we're always brushing out from the lantern out. And go as far as you want. I mean, you don't wanna go too much. You still wanna see that nice teal. And maybe up to there. And if you made any contact with that teal, just dip it in the water and clean it a little. Now we're gonna add some of this yellow on this side. Again, we're brushing out to the teal. See how I'm not? For this is the only time we don't rub, guys. We just brush out. And it's easy if you just touch the black and you kind of brush into the teal. I don't know if you could see, but see how you can see some green happening there? We could always correct that. After it's dry, we'll mix some yellow and white and make a lighter yellow, and then we'll go over it. But for now, let's just make a nice coat of that yellow, kind of shining out of the lantern. And go all the way down, up to here. And some yellow back there. All right, guys. Remember that we just need one coat of that yellow. Don't worry so much if it already mixed for you. If it looks kind of green, we'll fix it with some white and yellow when this is dry. All right, I'm happy with that. Remember, just add enough to it looks like it's glowing. Right, guys? All right, so we got our teal. We're gonna add some of the lighter yellow, maybe in some spots, kind of like the light flickering on the background, but we need to let all of this dry first, okay? So we're gonna let this dry. In the meantime, let's clean our brushes. We're gonna start working on our center part of the light. For that, we are gonna need orange and we're gonna need your yellow. So get those colors ready. Let's get that. We're gonna be using your smaller brush or the large brush. Just gonna get them as clean as you can. Wipe them down. See, mine are still blue. The big one is still blue a little. The little one is clean. So we're gonna keep on dipping it in water. All right, how many more napkins? It needs to be very, very clean, guys. All right. Don't forget to get your coffee or your drink that you're enjoying as we do this painting. You know, art is very therapeutic. It helps you relax your mind, even your body. That's just very important, that when we're creating art, we just kind of let go of any thoughts, and we just kind of concentrate and let our creativity flow through our hands and onto the canvas, right? So if you're ready, let's start creating that the light effect in the center. We're gonna start with orange first. So I'm gonna use the big brush just because it covers more faster. So let's create the same thing. Remember, the center stays white for the yellow. So let's kind of, I want to create like a blending from the sides. So I'm going to do the sides orange, right? So add a lot of paint to the sides. Start from the left to the center. Add very, very thick paint. I'm going to show you right now what would it look like. So this is what I mean. I don't know if you can see the big chunks of paint. And if, I hope you drew, I apologize, I should have said that at the beginning, but I hope you did trace your branches with the Sharpie or with the dark pen, maybe a black pen. Just so, because I don't know if you could see, we can still see that through the light, and that's okay. I don't know if you can still see the light. And that's gonna be so when we when we add our brown to it, it looks like it's behind our lantern, right? So there you go. Get the thick paint, and now we're brushing it to the center. See how I'm leaving that unfinished look? We want that. So for the yellow could be in the center. And I just noticed that I have yellow on my center piece. Just like so. And if you went up there a little or down here, you're okay, because that's black, remember? So if you got some orange on that center, just clean it up with with one of your brushes. Just wipe it, kind of smear it onto the canvas, put some water, and you'll be okay. So I'm gonna do the same thing with the right side. I'm gonna come in and apply a big, thick stroke of that orange, right? You see that? Get as close as you can to that edge. And then remember that we're going to brush it into the center. Like so. I can use one little brush, and the little brush kind of helps you get into those little corner edges. So you can perfectly align it, and then let's brush it in. Over to the center. See the difference? I did this with the large brush, and I did this with the smaller brush. It kind of leaves like your strokes are a little more marked onto the canvas. We want to make it a little more smooth. So try to use, come back with a bigger brush and just smooth those lines out into the center. Like so. Maybe do some on the top and then do at the bottom like so. So see how we only have that center part untouched? That's gonna be in yellow. So don't dip this brush in water. Let's just clean it on our napkin, and we're gonna use it dirty and dip it in yellow. So if I start from the center, and I just wipe up, grab some more yellow, center, and wipe down. This way allows us to blend in some areas and then not in others. If you like the effect, I mean, make it whiter. Just kind of bleed out to the orange, like so. Come lower. And try to leave those nice dabs of paint. Try not to be too blended all together. Gives it a nice texture look, dimensional look. Maybe add some a little on this side. Maybe up there. Maybe down here. See how I'm not applying my paint too perfect? You want to leave some distress effect. Alright, guys. I think our yellow is about, look at your yellow, and if it looks shiny, it means it's still wet. And if it looks dull, it means it's ready to apply the next color. This is where we're gonna apply our yellow with some white. Let's use the small point brush for that. Remember the little brush that looks like a pen point? And we're gonna mix white and yellow. And we're gonna make a lighter shade of that yellow. So you wanna make sure it's light enough. You do it by the yellow so you can have a comparison. But it should be this light. See how my brush is very, very thick on paint? This is how you want your paint on your brush. Now we're not gonna do that entire yellow. We wanna leave some of that nice yellow. I'm just gonna come in. And if you're applying your lighter strokes and you can't see the difference, just add more white to it. I don't know, you can see it on mine, but I could see the difference between the darker yellow and the lighter yellow on top of it. So let's keep that consistency. See how I'm not applying it all over my yellow? I'm kind of skipping. So you want to skip. Maybe come down here. And don't worry so much about those lines, guys. They are gonna be black if you went over them with paint. So like that. Now let's do it on the center. So now it's gonna be the same thing. We're gonna come in here. Add very, very lightly. We're gonna add it in the center. Only stay in the center though. Don't go too much on the sides. Just stay in the center. And if you can't see the difference, just apply white. Just straight white paint and it'll blend. It'll do its job. It'll start blending with the wet yellow. There you go. I kind of like that. I don't think I'm gonna apply more to mine. Feel free to add more highlights if you want to, but I kind of like how that looks. All right, look around your painting. This should look pretty dull. If it looks dull and not shiny, we're ready to start on our branches. So we are going to start on the top branches since those are not affected by our lantern. For the branches, I am going to use my square brush and my point brush. Your square is gonna be to fill in, and your point is gonna be to draw. So remember, the branches are gonna be brown. However, if you do not have brown, you could also do on black. And we could add a little bit of white and make gray, and we could kind of fade out the white into the black to make it stand out from the lantern. So don't worry so much if you didn't get browned. Right. So I'm gonna start with my branch. So remember, we're gonna outline it. I'm gonna round and follow the pattern. Remember that pattern you drew with the Sharpie or a dark pen? We're going to outline it now with some brown or black. Remember, start at the top. Our bottom is still wet, so we always want to start at the top or on areas that are not wet. So we're just outlining. And this is the time that if you did your branches too thin, you can make them thicker. Remember, we can make things thinner. We could always make them thicker, though. Just try to stay on your lines that you drew. Please send me photos of the process. I hope you're taking photos of, you took photos of your before and after. I would love to see those. Small branch coming down here. All right. See, I went over that. Don't worry so much about it. We could always redraw it after. So we're gonna do this to all of your branches. This is very interesting because with these virtual painting parties, we challenge ourselves to complete a painting in an hour. I think like the most we have done before is been an hour and like 15-20 minutes, I believe. But this is the challenge to try to create a painting in an hour. So I hope you're still with us. So remember, we're tracing branches, and if you're done tracing, so I'm gonna show you real quick. Remember the light, all you do is kind of come in and then fade in like this. Like barely touch where with your yellow is at, just barely touch it. And you're gonna do the same thing here. If your branch is like on the way, just kind of outlined it. And I'll show you how to blend it in a bit. So right now, it's just outlined. Try not to go ahead, be ahead of the game. Let's just do that. Where else do I have one? Oh, right here. Remember, we are gonna come in here. Don't worry so much. We are gonna color it in with orange. So let's color that part a little. Maybe in here. Just one thin coat though, don't go too thick on that. And then kind of fade out. Same thing here, kind of fade out. Finish outlining. You know, and if you did what I did, kind of wrap it around the edges as well. You can do the same thing down here, wrap it around. So it can look like a finished piece when you hang it. The branches and the lantern is going to be the two things that's going to be more time consuming. So try to relax. And if you get frustrated, just step away for a bit. You know, go get a drink refill. You know, the purpose of these virtual painting parties is to kind of give you an experience, you know, to kind of try something new if you've never done this before. It's an amazing hobby. It helps you escape to a whole different world. Well, it helps me to escape. I sure don't think of the world when I'm painting. Also, let us know in the chat where you're visiting from. If you're viewing out there, just let us know from where you're watching. I'm coming down here. Alright, so I'm done with that. Remember these branches right here, this is in front of the light. That's why I went ahead and made this more solid, because we're in front of it, right? This is gonna be in front, that's behind. Another wrap over here. If you're done tracing all your lines, you could go ahead and start filling in. I kind of do it as I go, especially on the smaller areas. So that side is done. Remember this area right here? So try to kind of do solid and then bring it in and blend it in like this. So don't fill it in all the way, just kind of blend it into that yellow. And just start filling in your branches. Remember, don't forget to wrap them. We just need one coat of that brown or black. Don't worry about this handle so much. We'll make it look like it's wrapping around the branches in a bit. And when I do branches or trees, I like to leave chunk paint on them. It gives it a nice two-dimensional look. I don't know if you could see it on the camera. I just kind of dab the paint to fill in the space to leave that chunk effect. Remember, we just kind of fade it in here a little. And I always alter my drawings when I paint, because once you put that paint down, sometimes things get a little thicker, so I just go with it. Oh, that's that one side frontage done. Let's see, what else do we need? See, like this one is a little too square, so I'm just gonna bleed it out. That looks fine. Oh, my bottom one. Trying to get higher here. so let's finish up those branches. As you see, I did wrap mine. I kind of fitted that one in there. Let's make this one a little longer. All right, so we got our brown down. Let's clean that thin brush because we're gonna need it. Now I remember why I wanted to use the green. We're gonna see how our paint is right now. It's wet. We're gonna actually add a green to it and I'll give it a nice chunky blend. So if you have black, just do the same thing. It'll look pretty cool anyways. So I'm gonna get some chunky green. And we're not filling our entire branch with green. I'm just gonna like randomly go through it, like so, just adding some chunky lines. I don't know if you could see it. Going along my branch. And the way you make green, you actually mix yellow and blue and you can create green. And let me see. I don't know if you could see the little chunks of green on the branches. It gives it a nice dimensional effect. So see how I'm not blending my green into my brown? I'm just leaving chunks of that green paint. So let me show you real quick how you make the green, just in case you don't have it. If you add some blue, some yellow, the more yellow you add to it, it gets greener. You add some blue. So see I have my green and then the one I'm blending. It looks very close. That's how you make green. Okay, so let's continue adding that green to your branches. Remember, keep it light. We're just giving it a little texture. Maybe over here. We're just doing this just to add a little more detail to our branches. We are gonna have to probably wait a bit for that black. I'm afraid if we go into the black, just kind of touch around the yellow, see if it's dull. Remember that if it looks dull, it means it's dry. Mine is pretty dull, but I don't know how thick you guys went on your paint. Don't go in here, just leave it brown in that area and leave it brown in that area. That's behind our light, so it doesn't have to be green. Remember, everything we do in this channel is, I leave it up to you. If you did not want to add the green to your branches, you could just leave it as a shadow. And if you tried it, if you don't like it, you could just wipe it out and fill in your tree with green, with brown again, or black. I think that's about it for me. And about now, your brown should be dry. So kind of look around your painting and see if you need to do any retouches. So you shouldn't see your background through the brown. So if you could see the background, just add more brown to those areas only. You don't have to retouch the entire tree or branches, just those thin areas where you could see the background. Like I'm adding some areas down here. That I could see my background through, maybe here. Okay guys, if you're done with this part, let's clean that brush. Like I said it before, guys, if you're just joining us, subscribe to our YouTube channel. We are constantly uploading free content for you to follow with me. This channel, both of these channels were created just to share with all of you guys what we do. This is my passion. I love painting, and I just want to share with you guys what I love and teach you guys new techniques by painting along with me. This is a brand new painting that I'm going to add to the collections to be available for private painting parties. Again, the YouTube link is on one of the dashboards and one of my posts that I did this morning. And the Art for Fun Instagram, it's on our page as well. Follow us on both platforms. Okay guys, so kind of look around your painting. I have some areas, like this area is dry for me in this part. So we could go in this part. So we could go ahead and do anything in these areas. We're gonna start with black. So get your brushes ready. Again, you can use the square one or the point brush, okay? So the next color is black. Don't go much into the handle. We're gonna leave that alone for a bit until that dries. But right now we're gonna focus at the bottom of the lantern, on this part of the lantern, and then the top part. So I'm gonna start at the bottom because it's my driest area. So at the bottom, for the lantern, let's try to brush the way I'm showing you. And the reason why is because there's light in front of it. So if you brush this way into the center, we're going to allow the center part where it's faded, and we're gonna add some gray in there. It could look, so it could give it a nice 2D effect. So remember, we're brushing into the center from the edge. You don't have to trace it perfectly. Until the end, we'll do the tracing. We'll trace our outlines again, so it can look like our lines look more straight and more, we could define our lantern more. So right now all I'm doing is brushing towards the center. I'm coming as close as I can to the edge, like so. I'm doing the same thing on the other side. Remember, I'm leaving the center white. So I'm just coming as close as I can, and I'm brushing into the center. Alright guys, so I left a little smidge of unpainted on the center, right? And if you add a very thick paint, you don't have to do 2 coats, you could just do 1. Remember, we're not adding anything now to our painting, so from this point on, you can leave chunk paint onto your lantern. So now moving on to this section. This section, we want it solid black, so just fill it in with black. Just 1 solid black coat of this. Remember, the heavier you come in with your paint, the less coats you need to add to it. So just do as heavy as you can. Alright. This is also solid. This, let's leave it alone for now, because that's also gonna create, needs a specific way of brushing the paint in, so it can look round. So this needs to be solid. So let's just fill it in with black. A lot of black paint. Doesn't matter how you apply the paint on this part, just fill this whole area out. Let's go. And if you came down here, you're okay, because remember it's black anyways. There's my nice solid black. Right. For this part, remember how we did this? We're gonna do the same thing here. We're gonna leave the center. So we're brushing. Try to go from the edge and then brush to the center. And we're gonna leave the center untouched. Try to outline your shape out here and then brush in, like so. So see how I'm doing it that way? So keep it like that. Because this part's gonna be gray, so just keep on brushing towards that center part, like so. So on this side, kind of come in and outline your shape again. And brush, like so. So leave that, try to leave as much white in there as possible. This is gonna be gray, so let's leave that unpainted. We're gonna paint this part up here in black. For those little parts, let's start using our smaller brush, meaning the point brush. Makes it easier. So we're gonna come in here. We need this part black. Remember, this is gray, so let's leave it alone. So while those little areas are getting dry, I don't know if you could see on your branch that is crossing. So let's use our thin brush and let's outline our handle. Remember, the handle meaning you need to go over the tree. So on this part, it's gonna come over your branch. So just like lightly go over it. Mine is still a little wet, but I'm still gonna do it. So just kind of outline your handle up to that part of the tree. Remember, your handle is over the tree, over the branch, sorry. So now I'm gonna come behind it, like so. Same thing on this side. And I'm gonna color that in with black. There you go. Now we're gonna do the top part. We're gonna come up for this part of the branch, right? And we're gonna come down in front of it. So, ooh. Remember guys, if you dip your brush into the water, make sure you clean it prior to putting it on your canvas. I had my first little running paint incident. It's very important that we dry that brush because we'll get that running paint on our canvas and we don't want that. All right guys, so I'll redo it again. This needs to be filled in with black. And you know, sometimes when we're painting, like I said before, things get a little thicker sometimes, and we just need to be okay with that. So since this side of my handle is thick, I'm gonna come around the back and just make this thicker. There you go. So see how now it looks like the handle is hanging from the branch. So we always want to have something on the back and something on the front. If you got some of that green paint on your black, just let it dry for a bit. We could do a double, you could go over it a bit. All right. So that takes care of the handle part. Let's start mixing our gray. We can use our square brush. And we use black and white, gray. Just make sure you mix enough because we have quite a bit to make in gray. You don't want it too light. You kind of want like a medium gray, midnight gray per se. Scoop it over here so I can show everybody. All right, guys, so I don't know if you can see that right there. That should be the shade of gray that we're going for. All right, and I have it on my brush still, so I'm just gonna use it. So here we go. We're gonna come here, apply it only in the center, brushing into the black. So, and now you can see it's still a little too dark on my end, so I need to add more white. There you go. And if you still can't see the blend, just add quite a little. Just keep on adding your white in small increments so it doesn't take over the entire black. You can see it. We're gonna do the same thing up here, kind of brush from the center to our black. Try to do not too perfect. Right. And then let's do something. I don't know if you could still see your shape down here. Let's try to like go around that shape like so it can look like it's placed on top of this part of the lantern. The same thing down here. Let's grab some white and look, we're gonna come maybe right here. Mine is very dark. Try to add some white to it. This black is very stubborn. It's very black. So let's add some white in there. See how slowly this lantern's coming alive. So again, remember, let's try to apply that right here. Remember, try to use the point brush and the square brush to kind of help you with the smaller areas. So remember that's that part in between the light and the top part of the lantern. Let's come back and add more black to it. It needs to be very black. I don't know if you can see that. So we need this gray that you did, we need it here. in this part. That's where I'm going next. And if you did too much gray at the bottom, you could always come back with black and make it more darker. All right, so remember that gray needs to come in here. I'm using my thin brush for this because it's such a small area. And we're also gonna, this gray is gonna come up to the top of the lantern. Every time we add a different color, gives us the opportunity to actually reshape what lost its shape. So try to do that with your thin brush when you're painting. And if you went too over, remember that the bottom is black, so we could always come back and fix it. So there's my top part. So I did go over too much, so I'm gonna get some black. I came down a little too much. I'm just gonna reshape that part. I'm gonna add a lot of black and just go straight across, like so. Remember that top part? I hope you drew it in. It is like a little loop. That's gonna be in front of your branch. It's not gonna be behind it. So you already have some paint on your brush. Remember, it needs to be that gray color. So let's get some gray. And I outline first. And I color in. And if I think our brown is a little too dark, so we could actually outline this in black and then fill in with gray. You can see that so far? Right? Okay, so let's outline that. Like I said, with the point brush, we're gonna come around that little loop, little notch on the top. If you could see it, I outlined it with some black. I'm gonna give you a few minutes to kind of catch up. There's some areas that are still wet still. Check your lantern. This brown should be dry, this part should be dry. This we're gonna go over it with some orange. We are going to add some yellow on this part. We're almost done, guys. Please add in the chat if you need me to repeat anything. I forgot to mention that at the beginning, but you could always put it in the chat if you need me to explain something again. Once we're done with this detail over here, we are going to outline the rest of the lantern. And this is kind of like a winter lantern, so we are going to add some snow at the end. We're like 75% in, guys, almost 80%. If you notice that this part right here is still too dark and you can't see the difference, just remember, just add some more white onto that gray to make it lighter. Because I did notice on mine it looks a little dark. And I'm coming back and I'm just adding a little bit of the lighter gray in the center part Just make it pop a little more, and I like that better. It's a little too dark. It's a bit dark. Okay, guys. All right. Remember that let's try to clean your square brush the best you can. That's not what we're gonna use for the orange part. I know we used it with black, and black is so black. Let me see. Ooh, I did something. I got some brown. Since I got some brown on my canvas, I'm just gonna make another branch. Some little anal. Right there. Just going with that. See how we could fix things with paint? And then here. Because I can't fix that background anymore, and I'm just gonna come on thicker on this side to cover that part in. And I'm gonna add a new branch coming down here. Because I got some. There you go. Perfect. Alright, guys. So we're adding orange to this part to make it look like it's behind. Just gonna come to the edge of the lantern, add some thick orange paint onto it, and brush into the center. All the way. Try to go all the way into like where the yellow is. There you go. That kind of puts it behind. You're gonna come on the bottom part as well. Come to the edge of the lantern and then brush in. Like so. There you go. So I don't know if you could see that there. That branch stays behind the lantern. Alright, so look at your painting, guys, and see where you need to make some adjustments. This is the time, so we can allow that black to dry. So we are going to see these lines in front of the lantern. Those are going to be highlighted in black. The outer part of that part of the lantern is going to be highlighted in black. And we're doing it with the point brush. Kind of look around. Like, I don't like my handle up here, so I'm going to come back. And I'm just gonna like, cause I got some green in it, so I'm just gonna get some black and fix it. That. Oops. I'm getting. All right, guys. Remember, don't touch this area. We still need to add our lighter yellow to it. So if you're done retouching, remember the light yellow you created. Let's grab your thin brush and let's add now some strokes in front of that branch. So I only added it here and here. And then you come over here. Just gonna fix that a little. Right, guys, so there you go. If you went too far on this part with your orange, you could come back and do your highlights over that. Okay. All right, guys, we're finishing up here. I hope you're up to this step along with me, where we're gonna start outlining our lantern. Okay, guys, remember, just kind of retouch your stuff. And please send me a photo when you complete your painting so I can post it up. I always like to do a post. Right, all right. So we're gonna finish up with snow like I mentioned before. So let's try to finish this part out. And let's add our lines to our lantern on the front. Remember, I'm using the thin brush for that. So we're just gonna gently apply it to those areas that are dry and make chunky paint. Don't blend so much, just chunk lines. We're gonna do the outer part, right? So let's outline our lantern, because the finished touch is gonna have some snow up here and some of the branches. See, I don't even make straight lines, but let's make those. So try to do unfinished lines as well. Don't try to, see, like I'm leaving some gaps over here. And make these lines as thick as you want. Like I went too thick on this part, so I'm just gonna make my entire outer line kind of thick, just to match. So the outer one. Boom. We don't really don't need to outline like the black part, but maybe up here, outline your gray. So that's already outlined. Guys, and if you wanna, this should be in front, so just add some gray right here, like on the little outer area, to make it stand out, stand in front of that handle. Same thing on this side. Right. So for the snow touch, we're gonna use our square brush. Make sure you have some nice white pure paint. See how much paint I have on my brush? And I'm just gonna dab the on top of that part of my lantern. Maybe along this. Kind of like on the outer edge. Right? Maybe some in here. See how I'm I'm tapping the paint onto the lantern? So when you add your snow, you just want to tap it. So maybe here. Really like pick a side, which side you wanted to have snow. The same thing from up here. You know. There. Then on the branches. Now this is a California winter. Because we have green trees everywhere. I'm gonna put it over here. I don't know if you can see how I'm doing it. Make sure you don't rub the paint or don't blend it. We're just leaving chunks. Maybe some of the handle up there. And then up here. Like so. Maybe some snow over here. See, like I'm not applying the snow to all my branches. I am leaving some branches without snow. Maybe here. Let's have some snow up there. So, see where else can we add some snow? Maybe here. Here. Wrapping it. Maybe along this branch. All right, guys, what do you guys think? Ooh.
It's cool, babe.
Now, this is very optional. You don't have to do this. But I don't know if you guys are familiar with flickering paint onto your canvas. I'm going to do it to this one just because it is a winter theme lantern. I'm gonna use the square brush. This could be very scary, but if you do it gently, you could apply that randomly through the top part of the painting. You can never go overboard, but you could. So you start by dipping your brush into the water. And I know maybe it's dirty, but it's okay. It's a little liquid. So I don't know if you can see on my hand. I dip it in the white. Right? And look, there's snow falling from the branches, right? So there you go. And as it gets to the bottom, it's a little less. If I want this part to be a little more intense, I grab some more paint. See how I'm grabbing my brush? I'm flickering my brush onto the canvas. So some over here, front of the lantern. So see how this is a lot of fun. So you get like overboard, like get overboard with it, but just try to be gentle. Maybe more towards one corner of the painting than. What do you guys think? Maybe some on this area. So dip it in more paint. Come thicker on this part. All right, guys, there you go. I'm happy with that. I did a little bit of flicker in this part. You know, if the branch moves, it kind of dusts the lantern a little. This is my California winter lantern. Guys, don't forget to send me photos of your final piece of art. I do want to post it on our wall, on our page and on Instagram. Again, thank you so much for joining me today. Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel. Follow us on Instagram, and I'll be seeing you soon next month to make a love theme painting. Bye, guys.